Hey there, this is Pam Perry, and we are here for another episode of Get Out There and Get Known podcast. And I have a guest today that'll be talking about how to really just get out there. And it has to do with three P's. I like P's. I've got a couple of them in my name, and actually, they were in my maiden name as well, Pam Pratt Perry. That's a lot of P's. But we're going to be talking about positioning, partnering, and creating profit. So, right after this, tune in.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there. So, one of the things about public relations is that the word relations is in it, right? Relationships. So, really, you find most PR people are very relational. They love talking to people. It really can't be in PR if you don't like people, right? Because the first word is public. So, can't really be an introvert and like public relations. I guess you could, but it would be a struggle. But one of the things that I really want to talk about today, and so many people in the social media world today think everything is all about online, but really relationships are developed offline. This person here, Roberto, he has been in business since about 2008 or 9 or so. And obviously, the social media world was just kind of really in full swing. I guess you would say it was in this toddler age. Right now, it's like in this teenage age. And so, a lot of times, you just have to build relationships. And I call it really like having a good emotional intelligence, right? You heard of like what is your IQ, but really it's more about what is your EQ and really reading the temperament of people, having empathy for people, learning how to listen, caring, truly caring about people. And so many times in this world where we're talking about getting out there, getting known, people think it's all about me, 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 me. Well, this gentleman, Roberto, really knows that it's all about really collaboration. Collaboration is the new black. You hear people say that all the time, but he's been walking that way before people coined that term, that hashtag. And so, with that, I'm going to bring up Roberto so we can hear a little bit about why he's so passionate about partnerships. There you go. Hey. Oh, Roberto, I didn't
Love
want
the
to
applause.
mess up your last name. So can you pronounce it for us, please?
Absolutely. So it can be Candelaria, it can be Candelaria, just anything but late for dinner. Anything but
Okay,
late for dinner, and we're good.
good. So Candelaria. So I like that. I saw that and I was like, I don't want to mess it up because I don't like when people mess my name up. So really, like if my name is Pam, don't call me Pat. Okay. I get really offensive. It's like, no, it's not Pat. It's Pam. Okay. And so anyway, so I just wanted to make sure that they said that. So we met and I let people know that we met and I'm going to be seeing you soon in a couple of weeks or so in December, but we met at an event here in Detroit. And I just want to tell you full out, when I met you, you had so much energy. I immediately you had that magnetism. You were very authentic. I really liked your story. In a way, it kind of made me cry, but but I cried on over everything, commercials. But I like the fact that you're very authentic. You've built a very successful business and you're doing it in a lifestyle that you enjoy. Sometimes people have businesses and then they don't have a life they're enjoying. It's like, okay, so what's the point? You chose that. So tell us how you started into this journey of entrepreneurship and really talking about partnerships and relationships and why that's so important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me. I would say that when this started, I didn't know that it was going to be about partnerships. I didn't know that it was going to be about now, when we talk about position, partner, profit, that wasn't the start. That is the evolution to where we are today. When this started was 2009. I was in the middle of 11 surgeries in 18 months for some medical stuff. And I couldn't keep a job because
You
when
were
you're
always
under
at work.
anesthesia and you're
Yeah.
at the doctor and you got the follow-up appointments, I couldn't keep a job. And so entrepreneurship, I say, like, I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship found me because I wanted to eat and I wanted to live indoors and I couldn't keep a regular job. And so having the medical trials that I had was the biggest blessing because it allowed me to find entrepreneurship and for entrepreneurship to find me. Because listen, I was happy making a salary. I was happy clocking in and out. I was happy having benefits and not working 80, 90 hours a week, wondering if like what I was going to make that month.
Mhm.
And so entrepreneurship, though, at the same time is really what saved me.
Mm.
And, I didn't know it was called entrepreneurship. So let's also be clear. I knew that I wanted to live indoors, that I liked running water, that I liked electricity, and I liked food, and that all of those things cost money. I also knew that in the middle of these surgeries, in the middle of these operations, that you can only ask off so many times before they just like, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
And so I actually came across my very first business was actually securing partnerships and sponsorships for nonprofit organizations.
Oh, oh.
Um, I named it wrong, which there's a whole PR lesson in that, y'all. Like, so my very first company, y'all gonna laugh. The name was called Human Returns.
Yeah.
Why human returns? Because I was like, well, in the nonprofit world, the only returns we get are the lives we change. Y'all, everybody thought my company was called Human Remains. It was the worst
Yeah,
naming
it does sound
ever.
like,
It was
ooh.
awful. People are like, what you doing with human remains? Are you a crematorium? And I'm like, no, Jesus, we need to fix this.
You gotta get a better brand.
And but again, I didn't know. But what I knew was I had a skill, I had a talent that
Mhm.
I wanted to be able to live indoors, that I wanted to be able to eat,
With the
and
dogs.
with the dogs, who, of course, because we were recording, decided that they're going to be celebratory and festive. But it gave me the opportunity to say, there's something more for me.
Mm.
There's something that I want. And I went out and did it without being perfect. I
Mhm.
didn't have the option to be perfect. I had the option to live indoors and to eat. And I think that as entrepreneurs, sometimes we so worry about getting it right that we don't make a decision
Mm.
and realize that not making a decision is a decision. Like, that's still a choice.
That is. And you should
And
and the whole name of the podcast is "Get Out There," because so many people say, "I wanna get out there." Well, just get out there. You can course correct as you
Mhm.
go,
Yes.
and perfection is not better than completion. Completion is better than perfection. So, I
Mhm.
love when you said that you're just gonna have a business. I've got some skills. I'm going to, uh, share or really my skill set with nonprofits. You had a heart for nonprofits because that was just something that you just really wanted to work in that industry
Yeah.
because they're changing lives. That's really it,
Mhm.
you like people, so you wanted people to have better lives and change lives. And then during the midst of all of your medical challenges and things like that, you decided that, hey, I'm going to try this entrepreneurship. And I remember, Roberto, the I remember at a young age, I wanted to own my own agency. And I really wanted to be it was because I read a book when I was in high school. I really wanted to own my own agency. And I thought that would be cool. I wanted to be a copywriter, a creative director, something like that. I mean, I didn't know any Black people that had ad agencies at that time. I just thought that would be cool. And that was always in the back of my mind. Well, my mother and father, they were like, you need to go get you a good job. So I worked and worked. But it wasn't until we start working and we
Mm.
develop skills and we don't realize that we could take these skills from where we're at and then actually put them in the marketplace. And I didn't
Right.
decide to do that until I read a book called it was a long time ago and it was like How to Make a Living Without a Job.
Yeah.
And it was really life-changing for me because I realized that I had skills. I could write. I
Mhm.
kinda like you, I could do fundraising. So fundraising is really, raising money for nonprofits and that sort of thing. I, could do a lot of things that were in the communication field because my degree was in journalism. So I was like, okay, I could do newsletters. I mean, it was like a lot of
Like, I got this.
yeah, a lot of hodgepodge things, but I didn't realize it was entrepreneurship. What I liked was the fact that this is making a living without a job because at that point,
Mhm.
got married, had a daughter, and I didn't want to be tied. I wanted flexibility. That was really my main
Yes,
thing. I wanted flexibility.
absolutely.
So being a publicist was something that it's like, okay, well, instead of doing it for companies, I was director of public relations for the Salvation Army. Instead of doing it for companies, and that sort of thing. I said I can do them for and select clients that I would like to work with. That's how it started.
Absolutely.
Didn't even realize what that was. This was in 2000, right? I was like, I didn't know that's what you really call this, because then it was like, well, where is your office going to be? I says, I just need a computer. I'm gonna work from home.
Mhm.
Like, you don't work from home. You don't have a real company. I was like, yeah, 20 years later, I think that's like pretty much the norm now.
And it is, and it's so fascinating that, now, you know, in 2022, like, we live in such a day and age where anybody that has a skill set, anybody that has a gift or a talent, that they do not have to choose between connection and community and profits at like anymore. Like,
Mm,
we live in a day and age where, like, you're in Detroit, I'm in Austin. I'm clearly at home because the dogs just went and had their little way. That means somebody probably dropped off a package. But it's one of those things where we live in a world today where, like, people used to, like, there was a time where relationships were all offline. We
mm,
found ourselves either at the church or the schoolhouse or the PTA meetings or wherever there was a networking opportunity. And
mhm,
then for a period of time, we went completely online. Then we got to this hybrid part where relationships and connectivity were online and offline. But then with the pandemic, we ended up in this place again where it almost, people would say it took us back. But
mhm.
one of the things that COVID did was it became a great opportunity for those that had built genuine relationships online and offline to continue that conversation and that connection and that community online, and also allowed people, like, you were just talking about, like, I wanted to have a business, but I wanted to be able to raise my daughter. I
Mhm.
wanted this. And so COVID became this, as real of a disease and pandemic as it was, it also became such a beautiful equalizer to allow entrepreneurs to realize there is a way to be home, to make money. You don't got to be on the road every week. You don't got to be on the stage speaking 200 times a year.
Mhm.
Like, there's a way to still serve, still have relationships, connection, and build a profitable business in a way that you love. And I think that that's something that enough entrepreneurs don't thank COVID for, was for the opportunity to realize we could do what we do in a different way and serve even more people by being open to technology and connection and really rebuilding and reactivating relationships. And it was just so beautiful to see all of that happen. As awful as the disease was and as the human lives lost were, in business, it was so beautiful to see people get back to the core of relationships and realize, like, we can't do this alone.
Yeah, yeah. In the media. So
Mhm.
a lot of times when people are thinking that, "Oh, I wanna be in such and such newspaper, I wanna get in this magazine, I wanna be on this radio show, on this podcast," and a lot of times it is about who you know, not what you
Mhm.
know.
Yep.
We hear that all the time, and it comes from being nice, being cordial to people offline and online, and I always tell this to people a lot of times that, my clients or whatever that will come to me and it says, "Well, I wanna be on such and such." I said, "Well, do you follow them on social media? Do you know the reporters personally, like maybe on Twitter? Do you retweet their things? Do you like their pages?" I mean, the
Mhm.
same etiquette it takes to be nice to someone in person is the same way that you should be nice to people
Absolutely.
online. And I just think that because of the vastness of information we have, people are choosing to ignore a lot. They're ignoring the information, but really they're ignoring people. And I
Mhm.
want people to really come back to not just ignoring people, to make a list of people that you really want to stay in contact with. And if nothing else, just check in on them from their LinkedIn posts or their Instagram posts or their lives or whatever it is, open up their emails and reply back to them. I mean, they're real people on the other end of the computer.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole point of really partnerships, because most of the people that I do business with today, I have not met in person. And
I feel you.
there's one right there. Right there. There's Dr. Bisa. Dr. Bisa is in Atlanta, and she's a client of mine. And we haven't met in person, but we met online. So, but if I do meet her in person, I'm going to be the same person I am online, which she said is
Exactly.
be cordial to people online and offline. And that's really, really key. She's actually in the nonprofit world as well. She runs a nonprofit
Okay.
and does a lot of she has a book here, just shameless plug here. She just happened to show called the 10 professional ways to supplement your teaching salary, right? It's like one of those
Mhm.
things. And you were just saying that you had skills. So what other ways did you learn to be an entrepreneur? What other, they call it streams of income or expertise, did you monetize, or how did you partner with people in order to bring in um, income for your lifestyle
Yeah.
that you and your family wanted to live?
Well, and so at the time I was single, and I think that when you're single is now listen, I'm not saying don't do nothing if you married or in a relationship. Let's be clear. That's not what I said. But when you single, there's the ability, at least in my head, there was to be able to take bigger risk because it was just
It's just
me,
you. Yeah.
right? It's like I can always go crash on someone's couch if I need to. Like, but you ain't rolling up with, a spouse and 3 kids and 5 dogs to somebody's
Mm-mm,
house.
mm-mm.
And so for me, it was learning. And, podcasts weren't such a big thing back then. There was a lot of instant teleseminar, a lot of we called in on the phone conference
Oh my
lines to
God.
listen to
Blo-
people.
Blog Talk
And,
Radio.
a lot of it was, 1-800 free conference call lines. And I'd call and I would just listen and I would learn and I would learn. And so, I'll start by saying this is that to the person that may be watching this being like, it's okay, like, great, like, I don't have a coach, I can't afford a coach. Listen, you can afford a podcast. You can afford a YouTube video. You
Thank
can
you.
afford like all of this free information. There is so much information accessible today. This show at people's fingertips that if we're not learning, we just don't want to learn.
Mhm.
And so we learned by 1-800 conference calls. And I met somebody by the name years ago by the name of Rick Frischman.
Oh, yes, yes,
And
I know Rick. The
okay,
network the book is called The Networking Magic. I like books, so
yes.
The Networking
So
Magic. Yes.
yep. So like most people in this space know Rick, and I met Rick. It was June or July 2011. And Rick said, you should write a book. Now, at the time, I didn't know that Rick told everybody they should write a book. I thought I was special, and I
No,
am special, but I didn't realize that Rick told everybody this.
he
And
likes
he's like,
books.
you should write a book on sponsorship. And I was like, Rick, ain't nobody want to read a book on sponsorship. And he's like, yes, they do. It'll be a bestseller. It'll be now, mind y'all, I didn't know nothing about the industry. I didn't realize you could sell three books in 1 hour and become a best-selling author. Okay. I didn't know none of this then. And I'm like, nobody will want this. And so I don't know why I listened. And so I think that that's the second lesson here is that when you seek guidance, listen.
Mhm.
Listen to the people that have come before you and ask, like, how does that apply to me? It may not be the exact same thing. So I wrote the book.
Mhm.
And my very first book, Relationships Raise Money, I wrote in 3 days.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. That everybody says that. They're like, wow, wow, wow. I didn't know people spend 6 months, 9 months, 12 years writing a book. I was like, man said write a book. I'm going to go write it. It was kind of like the 4-minute mile because I wasn't in this industry.
Mhm. Mhm.
That said, it took 6 years to write the next book and it was less pages. So, I mean, there's that. But I wrote the book. I got it out there. And when Rick saw that I got it out there, it was, again, just a relationship. Fast forward, and I don't mean just a relationship like discounting. I mean, it was a relationship that opened the door.
Right. Right.
He said, well, you wrote that book. Have you ever thought about speaking? It's like, Rick, I'm not a speaker. He's like, yeah. Like you can get on stage and you know your topic. Like, come to Rick, I ain't ever spoken in front of nobody. Well, you do nonprofit workshops, don't you? Yes, but they don't pay me. People paid you for a ticket. It's no different. Come. And so he invited me to speak at an Author 101 University in March
Oh,
2012.
was that in New York?
That was one in Los Angeles, back
Okay.
when they used to use the Westin LAX in the auditorium.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
spoke at my first Author 101. Jim Quick was speaking there, Laurel Langemeyer, a bunch of people. And I get there and Rick says, so what are you selling? And I'm like, what do you mean what I'm selling? He's like, well, that's how this works. It's like, I give you a stage, you speak, you sell your course and the percentage of it, because that's how I make money. I'm like, well, I don't have a course.
Oh my God.
And don't you know, I literally, the day before I spoke, I have the picture, I have to find it, I post it. I literally sat in the hotel lobby and said, how do I teach sponsorship? And I wrote my first online course. It was called the Sponsorship Roadmap. And I sold it at that event, made more money in 30 minutes than I'd ever made in my life before.
Wow.
And I was like, this feels illegal.
Wow. But it was something you had in your head that you were just
right. It was something here.
Yeah.
And so that's how the first online course was built. And I say online course, but here's the reality. Back then, y'all, we
PDF.
still.
Is it PDFs?
And I got it somewhere here. I have to find it later, y'all. But like, I had it out the other day because I was showing some of my students. We mailed out DVDs, y'all. It was a DVD home study set that we then converted to an online course.
Yes. I remember the home study course with all the
Jesus.
all the
yes.
It cost a lot of money, packaging and mailing and all that kind of stuff.
All the things.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I learned, right? And I've been able to say this more succinct now, but back then, this was my first realization of there's more money in what you know than what you do. Because I could have never in a million years up to that point in my life thought about how I would have made that amount of money for something that I could have done with my hands in 30 minutes or with my brain in 30 minutes that people could buy and learn online. And that's when I really started to understand there's more money in what you know than what you do.
I love that. Yeah.
But that's when it grew to, well, I know other coaches. I know other people. And I wonder if other people put you on stage and then you sell and then they take a percentage. Or I wonder if other people put you on teleseminars and you talk and then you sell something and they take a percentage. I made 6 figures in less than 6 months with this course. And then we just kept going and going. And what I would do is I would ask our affiliates, I'd be like, hey, since you've gotten so much value out of that, and you know, we're about to pay you this affiliate commission, do you know anybody else that needs this? And it just I became known as the sponsorship king, the sponsorship guru, all these things. And here's what happened. I didn't have the publicity budget. There were no Facebook ads back then. There were no YouTube ads, no TikTok, no Instagram. There was Instagram, but it wasn't this. It was a photo sharing app at the time. Like literally, the reason I just relaunched my podcast and called it Relationships Make Money is because the relationships in our industry have allowed us to make more money than I ever possibly imagined. There's so much more to make, but it's because we knew how to position ourselves in the right space, in the right ways, with the right people, and to build partnerships that were win-win, that weren't just about us. But seeing how everybody finds a way. And that's why I tell people, like, position, partner, profit. It's 3 simple words, but massive results, because as entrepreneurs, we sometimes think about ourselves when we really need to start thinking about how do we position ourselves to be in a space that we get the result that we want. So if you're a speaker and you want to be on more stages and you just sitting around talking with other speakers, you need to be positioning yourself with the event host.
Yes.
Right. And so how are we aware of where we're positioning ourselves and for what? That's when the game changed, is when I realized that you could do this intentionally without ads, because they weren't a thing then. And it just, like, the world just opened up when I realized, wait, I can do what I do. I can show up in spaces just exactly like I am, goofy and all. I
You
can
know,
show up and speak very bold things, and I cuss a little bit, y'all. And I can do it. I can be me, and people want me for me, and they want what I know because it came out of my brain. Like, if coaches, speakers, consultants could get back to the place that they are worthy and capable and whole, just as they are, flaws and all, but they still worthy and capable. That's how we change an industry. That is how, and I didn't think we were going to go down this route, but I am real quick. That is how, specifically as people of color, we show up in spaces and we be seen. That we don't be the 5%, the 10% that we create. And this is what I want y'all to hear, but that we also don't create spaces where we're the 100%, that we create communities of inclusion and belonging and equitability. Because we cannot say that we want accessibility and equitability, but then deny other people when they don't look and sound like us.
right,
Because then we're just doing the same thing.
right. And one of
And
the things too, one of the main things you talked about Rick Frischman. Rick Frischman is Jewish.
mhm,
He is Jewish. And a lot of times in media and in PR and things like that, I work for a lot of agencies, and a lot of people in media are Jewish. And so it can't always be that I'm just going to talk to only Black people. So we've got to talk to other
oh,
people too if you want access to the
yes.
media. So yeah.
And you know what? And part of equitability, part of accessibility is getting to build the relationships and know what's important to them. And like, one of the worst events we ever had
Oh,
was because I didn't take time to know who some of our followers were and the people that were promoting us were. And we scheduled a 3-day live event over Yom Kippur. Rick was my biggest promoter at the time.
okay.
Rick had an amazing following, but like you said, a percentage of Jewish following. I held my event on one of the highest Jewish holidays of the Jewish calendar year. It was like, I don't know why people aren't coming to Rick. And he's like, Yom Kippur. And I was like, what's that? I didn't know.
Yes.
And part of building genuine relationships is learning what is important to the people that you're building relation with. And
Mhm.
that was such a beautiful lesson for us. And I'm so glad that I got to learn it at that time, is that it's not just about what we talk about. It's not just about what we do and how we work, but it's like, what is important in their life.
Yes. Yes.
And that was game changing. So I will never host an event over Yom Kippur again.
No, 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 no. The event that you are going to be hosting is the beginning of December. So it is not during that time. It's in
No, it's not.
Houston.
It
It's
is
not
not.
Christmas. So in Houston, and it's a couple of days where you're going over you have speakers, you're speaking as well, but you're going over marketing, you're going over partnerships. And I always tell people it's about relationships. And the
Mhm.
favorite thing I always say is those that show up go up. And even if you can't be there in person, show up online. And I see some people over here now, they're showing up, Dr. Bisa and Tanya. A lot of times you could just inboxes, start a conversation, have a virtual coffee, um, listen, learn, see how you fit in, see where there's synergy. That was my first book, called Synergy Energy.
Mhm.
Because I just really feel that's really important. Partnerships are very, very important in order to grow your brand, to from there grow your business. I mean, my mentor, Dr. George Fraser, says, you cannot be in business, I think I'm paraphrasing this, without relationships. He says, a matter of fact, the business that you're in is about relationships.
Absolutely.
And instead, if you don't have any relationships, you don't have any business. And
Mhm.
so it's one of those things. His book was called Success Runs in Our Race, is the entrepreneur, it was like a networking guide in the African American community, very similar to Rick
Mhm.
Frischman's book, Networking Magic. But
Yeah.
it really talks about networking, the importance of relationships. And we keep saying relationships, but it's really about caring about people, um, remembering people. And, I mean, of course, we can go on Facebook and say happy birthday, everybody, on their birthday. But when someone is, especially during COVID, being more empathetic. There was a young lady that I remembered, um, was her, I think both her parents died of COVID. She was in New
Mm,
York, and they died in like April or May or something like that right after of 2020. And she was kind of, down or whatever. And I remember she said that LaShonda Henry, who's a friend of mine and I met online as well, LaShonda Henry was the only one, she said, of out all the coaches that she had coached with and paid money to, she was the only one that reached out to her like a few months after both her parents had passed, and said, "Are you okay?
mm,
Or how are you doing?"
yeah.
And she came on the teleseminar that we did a couple of weeks ago and said that publicly. And it was funny because I knew that that will be LaShonda. She cares about her community. She cares about
Yeah.
people. Before we called it a tribe, we just called it friends. We
Yeah.
called it the people that we liked and people that we want to do business with. That was it. And so really caring and partnering and seeing how you can fit with someone to do something collaboratively, not competition. Even I'm a publicist, so there are like 4 or 5 other publicists that we work together on
Hmm.
different things because we have different skill sets and we complement each other, so we don't compete.
Yep.
And that's really, really important. Marketing people, branding. I mean, that you can't do everything. It's a billion people on the planet.
No, we can't. And
So
we shouldn't want to. I like I work with other business coaches. And, to your point of like catching, like reaching out to people, like it's impossible sometimes for me to reply to every single message.
right, not
And I
yeah,
try, right? Sometimes it takes me a minute, but we try. And, what I've learned is, how can we expect other people to show up for us if we're not willing to show up for ourselves?
right, right.
And one of my deepest friendships in this industry, and is Allison Bird.
Mm,
And the way that Allison and I connected, y'all. Now, and here's what I want y'all to see. Earlier, Dr. Pam was talking about like if you listen to somebody, like engage with them on social media, all these things, right? I'd never met Allison. I'd listened to some of her content, and one day she was teaching something, and I just remember hearing it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is going to change my life. Like
mm,
that will change my life." And Allison was always talking about the time that she lived in San Antonio and that she loved wine and what type of wine. And so I literally sent her an inbox message and said, "Hey, I loved this last thing. This is what I took out of it. I saw that you live in San Antonio. My mom lives in San Antonio. I'll be there for the holidays. Could I buy you a glass of your favorite wine?" And then in parentheses, I put the wine.
yes, yes, yes. Paying attention and really following through. Yes.
And wouldn't you know, she replied back and said, "Yes, what day works?"
Oh, I love that. And she's one of your closest friends now.
Now, so we met then at that dinner. I just wanted to get to know her.
Mhm.
But by like 20 minutes into dinner, I was like, I need to hire this person. And I said, I need to hire you. And she's like, well, that's not what we're here for tonight. Tonight, we said we were just going to get to know each other. But if you want to have that conversation, let's have dinner tomorrow.
Mhm.
I had dinner with her the next night. Now, 5 years later, we have literally, she's been a mentor. She's a friend.
Mhm.
She is my sister. But it is because I took the time to send a message
Right.
and not be worried about if she was going to say yes or no or not
Right.
reply. I showed up saying, this woman has something
Mhm.
that I
Mhm.
want. I didn't even know what it was.
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes we got to put ourselves in the ring because ain't nobody trying to push us in the ring because they don't even know you want to be in the ring.
You have to take that risk. You have to take the risk, and the risk is of rejection or the risk of being
Absolutely.
ignored or the risk of, but you have to take the risk. You have to
Mhm.
risk in order to win. That's one of my favorite
Absolutely.
sayings. You got to risk to win. And so Allison, I still get her emails. We've known each other from the days of Blog Talk Radio years ago. We were in the same circles. I think we were both doing body magic at the same time, different diet things we were always doing, so I keep up with her. And so it's funny that you would say that because there are people that you meet online and they are genuinely the same when you meet them in person. And eventually they become really, really good good friends, and they're part of your circle. And Kadena Tate is one of mine. She's a colleague of mine. We met years ago online. Just it's one of those things where it's people behind those buttons, people behind
Absolutely.
the computer. We're doing the live right now. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We'll be a podcast, and we'll be in all the different things. But I want people to know they can go and register for Position Partner and Profit, be part of that as well. They can also, inbox you or follow you on your social media.
Mhm.
I tell people all the time. I said it doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does take some effort. Okay.
Absolutely.
You want to get known, get visible, and have people discover how wonderful you are. You got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself out there. How will they know? How
Yeah.
will
And,
they know?
and I think some easy ways to do that, y'all, like things you could do today, okay, is, like Dr. Pam said earlier, like engage with people on social media. What does that look like? Y'all know these algorithms and these streets be crazy these days. So you can show up for somebody simply by sharing their content.
Mhm.
So share the podcast, share the live, right? If you see like on Instagram, I'm starting to do reels there. I'm learning. We ain't there yet. I'm learning.
I know.
But, it's like when you see people, like if there's a reel that they do that you like, share it. Understand that a comment means way more than a like,
Mhm.
because the comment is actually what lets other people see that, right? And so it's these little things. If it's somebody's story, specifically an Instagram story, they love when you watch it. But if you really want to get noticed, especially by people that have those larger accounts, hit the little heart at the bottom, because those are the only notifications that people get, is that somebody liked the story.
Mhm.
And so there's so many simple ways that you can start showing up for you and letting people see you that don't take money.
Right.
Right.
Right. Doesn't take money. And part of
At
it
all.
too is just having a really heart to just really genuinely like people, really understand them, not feel like, oh, I'm not, the whole hateration type of thing,
Oh yeah.
or, if you're not good with yourself, cool with yourself, or like yourself, then you will probably be irritated from a lot of stuff on social media. You gotta like yourself, and then just know that everybody can win. Everybody can win. It's cool. It's okay. Like their stuff. It's not gonna take anything away from you. Or share their stuff. It's not gonna take anything
Yeah.
away from you. And that's really, really so important. Most of my mentors and coaches and things like that are people that I share and promote and all that kind of,
Mhm.
I promote my clients, but I also promote people that I just genuinely like. That's
Yeah.
part of it. Yeah.
And I promote so many other business coaches, and people are like, well, Roberto, but you're a business coach, you're a profit strategist. Why do you promote all these other people? And it's because of this. Like, there's so many people in this world that
There's
I could not serve everybody.
right.
So it is a disservice for me not to share competitors with
Mhm.
other people, because not everybody will hear the message from me. They're meant to hear it from somebody else.
Right. Or it's a book. People can read more than one book.
Mhm.
Right.
And sometimes we need to.
Yeah. It's like, "Well, I'm not gonna promote their book." Well, people can usually buy more than one book. Okay. So you can
Mhm.
promote this book and recommend another book. It's okay. And
Yeah.
people really appreciate the fact that you're not always just trying to push your stuff. So that I
Mhm.
just always said that if you really, really enjoy something. I think it was a lady I saw last night, Carrie Green had on her podcast, and I just shared it last night. I was like, this is really good. I didn't even never heard of this lady before. Um, and I think her name was Jenna or something like Settler or something like that. But she was talking about how we need to just really build a business that and a life that we love, not necessarily
Mhm.
what uh the gurus say that you should have a cajillion dollars. She said, if a cajillion dollars will make you lose all your hair and have you stressed out, then that's not the life you want to have. So really it was just one of those things where it's like, I
Yeah.
really like her message. And I just tweeted it.
Mhm.
Didn't know her. And I just
Absolutely.
thought it was good. So yeah, so that number one is engage on social media. What's another real tip to get more
Yeah.
visible and to get known?
Is to show up in spaces, and y'all, that's going to challenge some people. show up in spaces where the people don't look and sound like you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, we have some of, before COVID, our average event would be like 140 to 180 people. And, coming up to December, it's a way more intimate event because we have people in Houston where we're filming, but we're live streaming everywhere else. And that's what we're so excited about, is to be able to help people that way. But before that, right, we had, and we'll still have, the diversity in the room. There's diversity in the speaker lineup. But
Mm-hmm.
that's because I am willing to go places where people don't look like me and sound like me. And when you show up in those places, be willing to learn.
Yes.
Be willing to learn. We met at Dr. Ruben West,
Mm-hmm.
Black Belt Speakers. But
Yeah.
the reason I even met Dr. Ruben is because Trevor and I had spoke at Trevor's event, Black
Okay.
CEO Conference,
Like Trevor.
and where I met Dr. Ruben. But the only reason I even met Trevor is because April is one of my best friends, and April was having an event for her mastermind, had a medical complication, and she called me, called Trevor. Neither one of us knew each other, and she said, "Hey, I need you to come in. I'm having a medical complication. I can't teach my own event."
Wow. And so
And
you and
so I get there.
Trevor met, and that's how you all met teaching at the
Yes,
same time.
we met serving April's around $20,000 mastermind because we both came in to serve her community.
Mm-hmm.
April could call other business coaches, and I'm listening to Trevor. And I'm like, this guy's good. Like, who is he? And then, it was my turn. Trevor introduced me, had never met me, is introducing me based off of what they gave him. And then, he had gotten a call, so he was starting to walk out the room. And we always tell this story. He starts to walk out the room, and he hangs up his phone. He looks at everybody else in the room. He's like, whoa, we still don't remember what I said. He goes, did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? That's the money. And he came and he sat in the front row with his pen and paper.
Wow.
And that's
Yeah.
how Trevor and I got to know each other. Again, showing up in a space for somebody. We got to meet each other. Then Trevor invited me to speak at his conference. I've invited him to speak at mine. It's how I met Dr. Ruben. I met you at Dr. Ruben, and it's how we're here today. But why are we here today? Because in 2017, a client sent me and April an email. A client who has a Filipino background sent me, a gay Hispanic male, and April, a Black woman, an email and said, y'all should meet. April's going to be in your city. I went to dinner to meet her, and I met Dr. Dreon Birch. That's where I met Lamar and Ronnie for the first time. It's where I met Precious Bivens for the first time, because a client said, hey, Roberto, you and April should meet. And we decided to say yes. It's all about showing up. So that's the second one. And the third one I would say is this.
Showing up.
Is always, 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 always know that there is something that you can learn from another human.
Yes.
It may be what not to do, but you can learn something.
Yes.
From feedback.
Take the feedback. Ask for the feedback sometimes. Just even if you ask for the feedback would be good. But always learn from someone else. That
Absolutely.
is so true. And going in places where it's going to stretch you, where it's uncomfortable, where people don't look like you. I remember this year going to Podcast World.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Podcast World in Dallas. And it was 3,000 people there, and it was probably maybe 30 Black people, right? And had a great time. I will go again next year. And it was just one of those things where I met a lot of people. One of the ones I met was Tom Schwab. He does a podcast ballet. Oh, here's his book right here. Just happen to have that right here. Podcast guest
Not everybody's book.
I know. I met this lady over there. She was so sweet. She was really Interview Connections, Jessica Rose. I mean, so I wouldn't have met him if I hadn't gone. I probably could have bought the book off of Amazon, but it was like I got the book and we interviewed and we talked and we're going to figure out some ways to collaborate. You just got to show up. And so the position, partner, and profit, you just have to show up. It's a mind expanding experience to really learn from other people. Name some of the speakers that you're having. I know one of the ones is Audria.
So I'm so excited about this event, y'all. And I'm going to tell you why I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for me. I'm excited for everybody because, like, y'all, I'm literally going to maybe talk about an hour, hour and a half each day. The rest is all the other trainers, because even when I put on my own event, I don't believe that I have to be responsible for 100% of the transformation of the people that come to learn, whether in person or virtually. So because of that, y'all, listen, go to the link. You're going to see this, Damon Oates. Damon is such an amazing human and an 8-figure earner. And he's one of the few people that I personally know that has figured out how to make multi 8 figures come, and within that, multi 7-figure brands in both the physical product space and the digital learning info space.
Mm.
And he really be teaching how you do that in the physical product space and in the info space, how you too can not only have your community, but actually monetize it. We've got Anisha. Anisha, y'all, if y'all don't know her, she's a master brand strategist. She teaches people how to build their $1 million brand experience. And that it's not just about colors, but what is that actual journey about your brand? We just added, they're not even on the website yet. Zenobia Andrews is coming in. I'm so happy we're going to have Zenobia. And Zenobia is really going to be talking about marketing from the viewpoint of email marketing. And she was invited in by our sponsor, Keep. My personal attorney, like my personal and my business attorney, Shahara Wright, is also coming.
Oh,
And she's going to be teaching us how coaches, speakers, entrepreneurs are leaving money on the table by not actually focusing on intellectual property,
mm.
protecting our intellectual property, and then being able to license that out to other brands. And
That
so
is so good. I
I'll
want to
give
be
you
a
an example here.
I wanted to be an attorney at one time. So anytime there's an attorney, I just always get light up. And maybe that's why I have so many clients that are attorneys as well.
I
Attorneys and
I
teachers.
love
So
attorneys.
attorneys
People
and
say
teachers.
attorneys are boring, but attorneys will keep you safe and they teach you how to make more money. The
Mhm,
good ones will.
mhm,
And here's what's so key about this. I'll give you an example. Is so my husband Warren will be teaching y'all about community and really monetizing community. But here's something I want to show y'all is that some of you listening to this might be part of programs through Meta. So the Meta Elevate Hub or Meta Elevate Headquarters or
mhm.
other programs, the leadership circles put on by Meta. And you see that Meta be like, hi, Meta, we love you. They'd be like, here's $500, here's $1,000, here's a few ad credits, here's a free certification thing. And y'all be like, they dragging us along. But why are other people getting real checks from these companies? And it's because they have an attorney on their side that understands trademarks and intellectual property and copyright. So an example with our nonprofit Octonation that Warren runs, everybody be getting $500, $1,000, $3,000 here. But because we actually have trademarked Octonation, Meta now has to pay a licensing fee to use the name in their promotional materials.
Wow.
Anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 to $5,000, as high as we've worked with Meta on a $30,000 project, because the intellectual property was protected. But yet we have so many people of color that are afraid to go spend $1,500 or $2,000 on a trademark and say, why can't we make more money? It's because we're not protecting ourselves.
Mhm,
And so I'm so
mhm.
excited that Shahar is going to be talking about that,
That's what you call
because we just don't know what we don't know. And so
right.
y'all listen, y'all can go pay her $375 an hour. You can register for the free virtual event.
Yeah.
And you know what? I ain't mad if y'all pay her because she a client.
Just so that you can meet her for real. And that's the difference between active income and passive income. So the
Mhm.
active income is when you're actually putting your face in the place and you're really just doing the grind. The passive is just having that trademark and it's like it's there for life, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Audrey
there's so
Richmond.
much more.
Mm,
Audrey is going to be talking about how to create uncloned offers.
there you go.
And what I will also say about this, like what's so cool about this is, with the exception of Zenobia, every single person, like when y'all go to bit.ly/position partner profit, every single person you see on that page, Zenobia's picture ain't there yet.
Right.
Maybe when y'all listen to the replay later, every single person on that stage has been a past client of mine. It
Ah.
is somebody that I have coached.
Mhm.
And this is what's so exciting, is to be in a place where we can also elevate our students. And because I'm not the best at everything, I'm the best at what I do. I can bring in our students who are the best and not only allow them a platform to show how good they are, but for them to be able to come back and to be able to serve our community and also be able to potentially get clients out of it is so amazing. So whether it's virtually or in Houston, y'all, I don't know if they took off the in-person option yet or not, because like I said, it's intimate.
Yeah.
But if they did, like, and you want to come to Houston, it's December 2 to 4, like, send me an email.
Mm-hmm.
Jump in my inbox. Say, hey, I can make it to Houston, and we'll tell you how.
Right.
But at least, y'all, like, we are making this level of trainer, this level of education so accessible that, like, if you're saying, how do I position myself to make more money? How do I find the right partners, the collaborators, the JVs, the sponsorship? Why am I not making the profit that I want in my business? And you choose not to register for a free event that you can watch anywhere that there's internet, then you really don't want to. And then it's also cool to also acknowledge that I just say I want these things, but I really don't want them. But
Ooh,
if you do, like, we can't make it no more accessible than free.
right. You show up in your living room. Well, I guess you could. We could show up in your living room. You got to turn it on, though. But yeah, so
Correct.
it's actually there. It's like it can't be, and it is true. So as a PR coach, sometimes you want things more for people than they want for than
Absolutely.
and
We
it's
all do.
kind of hard. That's kind of hard. But I look forward to it. It is going to. It sounds wonderful. Just the people that you just mentioned right there. I want people to see all the list of the people, but the fact that your community are students and that
Mhm.
some of them I know individually, I didn't know that they were your students, and they are just powerful. I see them online and that sort of thing, and that I'm really excited just to come and just to, even to see you. I mean, you have so much energy and have so much fun at your conferences as well. So
Oh,
that's
yeah, we're gonna have fun. We're gonna eat. The people that come to Houston, y'all, we're gonna eat good. We're at the JW Marriott. There gonna be some good food. JW Marriott got some good food. We're gonna eat.
uh,
And, I would say this.
Tanya wants to know what is your IG, so she's gonna scope out
It's
some of
my
your
name.
people.
It's my name. It's Roberto Candelaria.
Yes, it's
And
about the
and and
bottom.
here's the thing about being in the room. Like, whenever you can be in a room. So yes, if you can do virtual and virtual is the way that you can make it, sign up. Go to
Yeah.
bit.ly/position partner profit. And if you can be in the room in Houston, y'all, here's what I don't think people understand. And it's not about this event. It's about every event you go to. And this event's the example because that's what we're talking about. The real magic at the event happens is when you sitting at the table with the other people in the room.
Yeah.
When you're sitting at the lunch table with all of these speakers. Dr. Pam's coming. So the other people that get to sit at the table and meet Dr. Pam, like, they don't even know what they're getting to meet yet, right? Like, well, the real magic of an event is the magic is in the margins.
I
It's
always
not what happens on the
Yeah,
stage.
I like that. The magic is in the mark. That is so true because you never know how really God orchestrates you to meet certain people at a certain
Mhm.
time. And it's always fun to see that happen.
Yeah,
And or even you meet someone and it may not be a person that you particularly need to know, but you know someone who needs to know the person that you met.
absolutely.
It's like, I know someone
Absolutely.
who just said that. That's why it's good to really speak out the things that you need because you never
Mhm.
know who in your community will find someone or run into someone who is looking for what you just said that you wanted. So it's always good to
Absolutely.
really just speak it out in a community or a mastermind or a coaching group, whatever it is. So I'm looking for someone who can or who has or because one of the
Absolutely.
thing about entrepreneurship is that we have to build teams if we want to
Mhm.
grow, right? So
Absolutely.
so one of the hardest parts about entrepreneurship is that hiring the right team. We talked about that before. Um, so just really, so do you know someone who has, and then you get the recommendation or referral for someone that you want to hire. You don't want to always hire cold. No offense to LinkedIn. I mean, you could run a LinkedIn ad and do whatever, but you rather have someone who has worked with someone and says, "Hey, yeah, they would be a great such and such for you." And those
Mhm.
are the kind of things that I really I take a like to. And then the same thing I reciprocate to someone else and says, hey, you need someone who's going to build websites or someone, that kind of thing. And then I say, I know someone who's really, really good or who could help me with social media. So you
Mhm.
really do, if you're a serious entrepreneur, you really do need to not work in the silo, That's the only way I can say it. Don't work in the silos. You got to meet people. You got to get out there. People got to know your name. You know, Roberto, see, this is the thing. It is 55 minutes. So, you know what? I might have to cut this in half. I just love talking to you. You know, we only supposed to spend 30 minutes. Okay, so
Oh, I know. I can
that's
see
good. That's good. But I just Dr. Bisa said the magic is in the margins. Love that. Yes, that is. I like that. The magic is in the margins. It's not always in the part that everybody sees. It's in the other part that people don't see. So that's the part that I really, really like. So that's good. That's
Mhm.
good. So I want people to go to the bit.ly. They can register for free, position, partner, and profit in your year with the right positioning partnerships to make the profit in 2023. You know, start out strong doing that. You know, just really be more open
Mhm.
minded, and I think it would be really, really good. I making the time to be there because I know I've seen him in person at Dr. Ruben's. Just electrifying, just a lot of fun. You know, I remember you told a story about your dad, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that really touched my heart. I think it was a period of time where you didn't work for a couple of months, and the business still was just marching on.
And like this is yes. So I've never shared the full story, and in December we're really going to get into the full story, which I'm super excited about. But that's when I realized we were really onto something.
Mm.
So I told y'all earlier today, or if you're listening to the replay, the previous episode, that I started by just talking to people, being like, "Hey, do you have an affiliate program? I have one. Do you want to promote this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this?" And so between our programs plus other things that we promote, like we have students on Entreport and Kajabi and Keep,
Mhm.
and Keep's actually sponsoring this event. We have people on Circle. All of those provide recurring affiliate income into our brand. And so
Yeah.
my father passed in January of 2019.
Mhm.
And y'all, it was like, so another exciting thing about this event is we did this event December 2018. We were going to start doing it twice a year after that. 3 weeks after we did this event is when my father ascended.
Mm.
And I went through what I know now to be depression. I thought it was just like, oh, I'm bored, I'm this, and it's really what helped me become even a bigger advocate for mental health for
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. I mean, I say that every entrepreneur need a therapist and a coach, both.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
I
you got
remember
to
I
pick.
reached out to you
Sometimes it's the therapist.
during that time because I remember I saw that you were
Mhm.
struggling because my parents passed as well, and it's just something that, you know, you just can't wrap your head around it. Everybody grieves differently,
Right.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
and I didn't know that it was grief. I didn't know it was depression, but here's why I didn't know. We had built a business because of the positioning, because of the rooms I had shown up in, because of the partners that we had, that my revenue didn't change even though I was grieving.
Wow. Wow. That
Because we had recurring revenue, we had recurring affiliate commissions,
Mhm.
we had on demand webinars that affiliates were still promoting. So people were still buying our programs and I wasn't selling. That's when I realized the importance of these three words: position, partner, profit, because I was grieving and money was still coming in. Now,
Mhm.
that was a double-edged sword at the time because I would have known it was depression if I had to pay the bills faster.
Mhm.
But it allowed me the time to heal,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be. And that's why I am so passionate about entrepreneurs understanding that we can build something that works for us and have other people promote us, and we can get paid and we can collaborate with other people. And going back again to, we do not have to be responsible for 100% of the transformation or
Mhm.
the sales or the work or everything in our company when we allow other people the opportunity to help us. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's why I'm excited about this.
Oh, that's good. You know, you made me think about something, and I can't remember if Rick Frischman was the first affiliate friend that I had or not. I want to say Author One on One was an affiliate of mine years ago when he first did it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was only after I met him because I was always kind of scary about being an affiliate for someone that I didn't know personally. That was just the way
Hmm.
it was, just like I met you or whatever. So most of the affiliates of the people that I know, I have met in person.
Yeah.
Sue Harrison is one, and it's just that's just the way I am, because I know that if I feel their energy, I get to know them,
Yes.
like, and that's just because I pride and take such a care and nurturing over my community that I don't want to just put anybody in front of them. So that's one of it.
Yeah.
And so you're the same way. And so
Hmm.
I just heard another friend, Donna's friend, I think his name was Ruben, and how Ruben said that he has an ebook that he gives away for free. And within the ebooks are links to affiliate products. And the book makes money for him 6 figures a year.
Hmm. Yep. I have one of my
I was
initial
like,
internet marketing
"Whoa."
mentors.
I was like,
Absolutely.
"Whoa." I was like, "That was so cool." He says, "Yeah, we give the book away free." He says, "It's a digital downloadable book."
Hmm.
And, it's 6 figures a year for when he goes out to speak and tells people, and it's affiliate links, everything. I was like, "Oh my God, that is what
Yep.
we call a super affiliate." And like you said, he could take off some time if he needs to or whatever. All of us need to take care of our mental health. Take off the time, and it's working for you. It's the active income, and then there's passive income. So
Yep.
you wanna make
No.
sure that you have a good balance of both, so you don't burn yourself out with 100% active and there's no passive.
Hmm.
Because as an entrepreneur, you would definitely lose your hair. So
Oh
with
yeah.
that, I just thank you so much. Is there anything else before we kind of get out of here today? I want to thank, I see Michael Nimmons on here. Dr. Bisa Tanya came on to the live, and people can listen to the replay. Was there anything
Yeah.
else before we get out of here?
Yes. Make a decision.
Yes.
And I don't just mean about this event. I mean anything in life. As an entrepreneur, as a human, if we can start to believe that when it's time to make a decision, that there is no right or wrong decision, that either way we're successful, that's how you grow.
That's how you
Because
learn.
you will either win or you will learn.
Mhm.
And sometimes we can learn a lot more and win a lot more from what we learn. That's why I tell people all the time, you can win or you can learn. And just allow yourself the opportunity to make decisions from a place of either way I'm successful.
Yeah.
Whether it was right or wrong, or yes or no, or left or right, or up or down, either way I'm already successful because I made a decision. Like
That is
that'll help you more than you ever know in business.
That is so true. That is so true. And I always say those that show up go up. Just show up. You don't
Mhm.
even know what you're going to say. You know who you're going to meet. Just show up. You just
Yes.
never know what God will have for you. So make sure that you're doing that. And the risk to win. If you
Mhm.
want to win, you have to do a little bit of the risk. Okay. And so the bigger the risk, the bigger the win, but you'll use that muscle as you go, and
Absolutely.
you can course correct as you go. So thank you so much, Roberto.
Thank you.
And I will see you soon. The Bitly is there, Position Partner Profit, and the show notes and all that stuff will be in the next episode as well. So thank you all so much, and thank you all for joining us today. This has been good. All righty, thanks a lot. All righty, you take care. All righty. So Roberto is the real deal. So hopefully we will see you all there. And I am Pam Perry, and I am out.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch. In order to be considered in media places or superstar